episode 19 of Snap on This, a Marvel Snap podcast, where we talk about Marvel Snap. I'm LaurenWhatevs, here with my co-hosts. We're going to throw it to Ree first, because it's an odd-numbered episode. Ree, how was your week in Snap? And keep it snappy.
Okay. This week started pretty low energy. I realized I didn't have, like, an it deck, kind of like an it girl, just like a deck you can't take your eyes off of. It's what you're excited to log in and play. And like a lot of my decks have just kind of like never resettled properly after like adjustments. Like my favorite, like my discard deck, it still feels like just mildly clunky with after the changes to Moon Knight and Swordmaster, and I made those changes. So like I swapped out a card there. I took out Grandmaster and put in Blade to see if that helps. And my Destroyer Vamp deck, it's always felt a little off since I put in Penny, and I'm still fair. I took out Killmonger for Venom, and that's helped. But it's just all right. It's just fine. I had nothing. I was mostly just swapping between whatever I needed for bounties that I grabbed when the turn came about, when Wombat Combat made me a present. It wasn't actually a present. It was just like Wombat doing what a Wombat does. I just like to pretend it was for me. But he made this deck called he called it Tempo Disrupt, which is way too boring of a deck name for me. I've landed on the perfect deck name because it's a tempo deck. So after my favorite rhythm game, Guitar Man, just a PlayStation 2 game. It's very worth checking out. Anyway, so with a rock guitar emoji and the cassette back. But okay, the stack is it's like I haven't had so much fun in Snap in so long, because it's just kind of a different way that I normally play, and it's got all these puzzles. But okay, the idea is it's like get ahead and stay ahead by fucking up their day. It's so good. And it's like this offbeat misfit collection of cards that somehow all works perfectly together. Like, okay, the deck revolves around Super Giant. I'm so excited. I had forgot totally about her since I got her. And she's so good right now. Did you know when you play a Super Giant, the card they play on turn 5 doesn't count for Doom 2099 because it doesn't get played, even if they only put one down, right?
And I think, it also fucks up turn 6, right? Because then they have 2 flipping? Or...
yes.
Not sure.
I know it can mess up. I don't want to say it wrong.
Reveals are weird, like with Dark Dimension and all that.
Like I know it messes up Galacta. I can't remember if it messes up Doom 2099.
No, I haven't played her. So, like, this is me learning. And here's the great thing is, like, once you learn Super Giant, you know what? You're going to know her way better than your opponents do. Watching people trip over themselves is, okay, I've done it once or twice while I've been learning her, but, like, it's so much fun. She messes up so many, right? Like, what about that Galacta? That's a whole turn missed on Galacta. If you're mad at the meta right now, Super Giant is like, right? She's the card right now. Fuck up their turn 5. Were you about to say something, Ben?
Well, no, I'm so upset. I often hear complaints from, you, frankly, about decks that can't be built because you don't have these cards that I love that are so near and dear to my heart. And now you're making Super Giant of all cards sound like fun, and I'm left out in the cold.
Okay. You know what's so fun?
I thought I could build everything I wanted to build, but no.
With Super Giant, bring back Daredevil, because you know what's great paired with a Super Giant is getting to see what, and sometimes multiple cards they play, because then you can decide whether they're worth a Leviathan or not. So it's like, did they just thank you because they just played out their Surfer early? Well, guess what? You have a Cosmo to deal with that in this deck. You have an Elias. You have the Negasonic, also fun with the Daredevil and Prio. So it's just like, this like trifecta of like Daredevil, Supergiant, and Goliath. It's so good. It's so good. And, okay. Makari, right? So Lauren, you'd always talked about Makari as a good tool for like cleaning up your hand for Moon Girl and Gwen pull targets and stuff. And I've always gone about like, she's a free card with reach potentially, it's randomized, but
she's totally a Prio card.
Mm-hmm. Right? I never really thought about her as like, hey, you just trying to keep Prio? She's great. The same thing with Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl is like another, it's like, do you want to just have 2 of 3? Because then if you don't have anything better to play, you don't save Negasonic. You just slap her down on turn 3 because you probably can tell where they're going to play. It's fun guessing. And this makes Scarlet Witch actually one of your best like location change cards, because Scarlet Witch being like so cheaper and easier to play, she saves the Makari that lands poorly like on a murder world. It's like, if you threw down Squirrel Girl turn 1, because that's what you're trying to do, you need to keep Prio with this deck, and one of those squirrels is in like a -3 location, Scarlet Witch to the rescue. And she's like, nobody thinks you have a Scarlet Witch you're holding on to for like that, like turn 6, negative power location or something where you can just like get out a steal,
or
with her in a single card. Yeah. Okay. And you'll notice, because I posted this deck for you, Hydra Bob has officially gone to green. That matches his nameplate only. Yes, because it turns out, okay, I know I was making fun of him last time, but he is so good because one, he reminds me of, I know he's like his own person and personality and stuff, but he reminds me of like the Venture Brothers, like the Monarch's henchmen. That's what I always think of when I look at him.
I feel like that's always been Hydra Bob's vibe. I'm not a huge Deadpool fan, but I was working at a pretzel place in the mall, and on break I would go to Barnes & Noble and I would browse comic books. And so I was reading Deadpool for a minute there when Hydra Bob was first introduced. And like, that was kind of his vibe, as I recall, was very Venture Brothers henchman guy, That was my take on the character. Maybe he's developed a different personality since then. That was many years ago.
That is how he is. And I've really grown to love the tension of Hydra Bob, where now often I've played him enough that I'm not just playing at him and trying to like lose his ability. Sometimes it's like, okay, but I want to move you now. And it's that tension of like, you got to snap to move him. So how confident are you in this plan you've made to win? It's kind of fun to debate that. Usually I just snap and move. Like, whatever, it's still a treat. Okay, and he's still that 1/5 stat stick, but this is literally something. I was playing one of those clog decks, that have been popular as a counter to 2019, and not playing one, but playing against one. Yes, and they tried to pull the old classic Titania Goblin on me. And they did. They filled in with their little green goblin, right? And then they had their Titania for free. But I had Hydra Bob in that lane. So I was like, Hydra Bob, thank you for your work here. It is done. You are needed. Your power's off, needed to another lane. Snapped. All right. And then they never expected this. Okay. How I want, like, turn 6, Lady Deathstrike. Also great against Doom 2099 and Dracula, which is, people, a lot of discard running around out there. Yes, right? So it goes in, kills the Green Goblin, kills their Kate Bishop, kills their other whatever little 3-drop there is there. They've just got a demon, and Lady Deathstrike, looks at their Titania, is like, hey, you want to come to the winning side? And she's like, yes, please, I'm Titania. Oh, it was so beautiful. And like, it's like, I wrecked a Scream deck hard with this deck. In a way, it must have been annoying, where it's like, oh, did your Scream come out? Boom! No, Negasonic just blew her up. Boom! boom, Red Guardian just ruined your, you know what I mean? Like, and they still just like fist bump me. They were just so like, what is this deck with Makari and Supergiant? I missed it. Cold Obsidian is here. Because you know what works with Squirrel Girl well? Cold Obsidian, you know what's great to play on a turn 4 when you've played Supergiant? Well, on a turn 5, I mean, after you've played a turn 4 Supergiant. Cold Obsidian, it saves him. Power. Right? 10 secret power, because they don't know what you played. A lot of them aren't thinking it's a 10 power card.
They're going to Elias your Cole.
They don't know what this deck is, right? They've never seen this before. They're not thinking Cold Obsidian because you're not playing Thanos. You're not playing like Kitty stuff. So they don't have any idea. And then what? They Elias it, whatever. You've protected it from Shang. You've got Cosmo as a backup if you need. Man, so a great turn 5 after Supergiant is a Hydra Bob Cold Obsidian. Play him anyway. It's 15 power in a lane hidden. That you don't care. It's like, what? They're gonna Elias your Hydra Bob Cold Obsidian? It's so good. Okay, and then obviously, I think I've covered every card in the deck now. Cosmo's here because that's another great play with Daredevil, with having Prio on people. Everyone's playing their little on-reveal stuff. And then, Elias just brings it home. This deck has been such a joy and a delight for me. Finding all the little ways to 8 cube people or, early frustration. It's just so good. And it's like, I hadn't like Makari with this stuff, Supergiant. I just hadn't even wrapped my head around. And it's so good in this meta right now. With the big turn 5s.
It looks so fun. Right. I am playing this tonight. I love the Prio deck. It's something that I've played several times before. I don't know. I've made my own versions of it and had a lot of luck with it, but I was always playing big power, not a tech version of holding Prio, and that's super interesting. Mm-hmm. And of course, I love a Supergiant. That's a great way to hold Prio and punish. And then also just that you were talking about where you get the perfect hits against the Scream deck. Like you have those moments where you just have the answer for every card they play. And there's so nothing like it in Snap to have the answer for everything. It's just like, yep, turn after turn. I have exactly the right counter for you. Then they retreat if they know what they're doing. But still, it's a fun moment.
It's full of cards people don't know that well. People aren't thinking about Lady Deathstrikes when they're planning Negasonic. Today, someone didn't know. Hey, if you pull an unactivated Negasonic out of her lane with a Magneto, you know who she's gonna blow up? That Magneto. They saw that and then they retreated. They're like, nah. It's like, you didn't know. You poor innocent child. Is this your first time Magnetoing a Negasonic? Don't pull a bomb to you.
I play a lot of Magneto. I don't think that's ever come up for me. I don't know if that's because I usually make a point of tripping off a Negasonic like as soon as possible with like a 1-drop or something. But yeah, I didn't know about that interaction. Cool.
Yeah, so she checks for here after she's moved. Like she checks at the end of the turn. Yeah. So her new here is active for Magneto. It's very strong.
Unlike Nebula.
Yeah, because of the timing of when they check. Okay. You've already heard him, Ben. How was your week in Snap? And please keep it snappy.
My week in Snap was pretty good. Most of my snapping, I think, just by volume of games played, happened around the 23rd. My alliance, our alliance, to be honest, we were not doing so great. Didn't look like we were going to get all the rewards. We didn't get all the rewards. I'm personally okay with that, but I know that other people do care about that, so I did make a point of getting more bounty points than anyone else so that no one could say that I don't care. Because, I can say that I don't care just now because, I've got the big old star next to my name. Y'all know I did the sweating. I put in the work that you
Ben
might have a
weight.
good shot at that variant. Anywho, I was just doing discard bounties. I was playing 3 different discard decks, each of which I believe has been featured in a past square. I was playing 100 Bad Guys with Swords, a deck that I keep trying to come up with a better version of. But like for some reason, just the one that I ended up with for Secret Homework, like I don't know how many weeks ago now, it just pops and bops. It's pretty cool. What else was I playing? I was playing my Miss card deck with Mysterio and Gwenpool and Swarm and stuff. I might need to update that one. Like, I haven't changed these decks in like a long time. And of course, I was playing Scorn Master, which I also, all of these decks probably deserve updates. For some reason, 100 Bad Guys with Swords, every time I've tried to update it, it just like hasn't worked out. But like, it needs to have Scorn in it, right? Like the whole premise of the deck is like you have ways to discard 1-cost cards. Like
You're
that's
playing
like what
Swordmaster.
Yeah, that's what we do here, right? Like surely Scorn has to be in the best version of this deck. But hey, I don't know. Like sometimes the 12 cards agree with each other and things are like balanced in whatever weird way. Also, why isn't Blade in that deck? I just don't get it. There are so many things about these 12 cards that I arrived at where every time I look at it, I'm like, what was I thinking? And why does it keep working? Because it does. I would stop playing it if it stopped winning so much. And sometimes it does. Like, sometimes it's like a bad moment for the deck and, you just stop playing it and then you take it out and it's good again. But anywho, so those three discard decks were putting in some repetitions on the 23rd when I was trying to give us a fighting chance at that mystery variant. But other than that, I've been playing a super cool Malekith deck with Agent Venom. It's a Surfer deck. It was in my square for last week. I only came up with it after we recorded the episode, but it was last week's square. So for anybody who missed that, it's Ant-Man, Zabu, Mysterio, Agent Venom, Ironheart, Sage, Brood, Silver Surfer, Absorbing Man, Galacta, Gwenpool, and Malekith. And the name of that deck is Without Further Ado. And I accidentally just took out Malekith from the deck. And you know what? I'll remember to put him back in. His name is in the name of the deck, so I will not correct that error on air, even though it happened. And the other deck I've really been enjoying is a deck called I Wore My Clogging Shoes. It's a Righteous Gemstones reference. Reverend Baby Billy, Uncle Baby Billy, maybe you've heard of him, Walton Goggins. Anyway, great episode, great moment. Misbehaving, classic song. Not going to sing it here. Been too much singing out of my mouth in recent weeks, I would say, or not enough, depending on who you ask. But the contents.
Nobody would say that.
Yeah.
That deck is basically just the Young Avengers Heimdall deck that I played to that first top 1000. I think I mentioned this deck last week, but yeah, it's just Luna Snow instead of White Widow. So it's Ghost Spider, Iron Fist, Nico Minoru, Dagger, Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, Kraven the Hunter, Green Goblin, Werewolf by Night, Vulture, Luna Snow, Heimdall, and the aforementioned Magneto, who still has not gotten blown up by a Negasonic Teenage Warhead, despite my carelessness and utter ignorance of this very important card interaction. I've been getting away with it, and that's pretty cool. But yeah, other than those discard decks and the Cloggy Heimdall deck, I did dust off because I don't know if y'all were paying close attention. We were supposed to have Tokyo 2099 as our hot location this week. Bad location, bad design. Glad they decided that was not smart because it really wasn't. Just wow. I can't believe they almost did that, but I can. But they didn't, and that's to be applauded.
Absolutely.
We have to give them credit for dodging the obvious bullets.
I think to clarify though, because I don't think we said the ability of the location is that players couldn't discard cards, correct?
Yeah.
Tokyo.
And I get wanting a location like Wakanda is to destroy, like to get that for a discard deck. Yeah. But this is just straight up it affects all location, it affects all your cards. Like there's nothing you can do about it.
Maybe they wanted on-reveal cards at this location can't cause players to discard cards, but that is a lot more text, isn't it? But that would be like a fair location.
It's also so similar to Nowhere, where it's like...
Oh, where it's just the on-reveals in general.
Turning off on-reveals Period.
Just a subset of on reveals. That is a strange line to draw. I agree. Anywho, so because Taco Truck was the replacement hot location, I remembered what I did last time Taco Truck was around. I played my Penny Parker Heimdall deck. I play other kinds of decks. It's not just discard and Surfer and Heimdall and other combinations of those three things. But this one is Agony, Ghost Spider, Human Torch, Iron Fist. Those 4 1-drops. What a whole bunch of them. Actually, that's not even the right deck. Different Penny Parker deck. Similar theme. This one doesn't have Heimdall. I was kidding. This one is a Scream deck, and that, man, I had something to say about the Scream. Man, I don't know. It's difficult when you're waiting for your turn for your week in Snap and you're trying to let other people talk about their weeks in Snap, but you're like, oh, that reminds me of the thing that happened during my week. I sure hope I remember when it would be polite to say so.
I can relate to this.
It fell right out of my brain.
I never go first.
Oh, Lauren, sometimes
I know, we should have a Lauren first day.
Yeah, we should make a point of it. But this deck, I called it fashionably late because I was finally building with Scream after the heat had died down. Kitty Pryde, Hydra Bob, Athena, Craven, Penny Parker, Scream, Juggernaut, Polaris, Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, Galactor, and Arrow. And those are all the decks. Real heavy on decks this week in my week.
Very deck heavy. I have 6 written down with your name.
But hey, you know what? I haven't forgotten. Token Tuesday forecast. Good one coming up on the 31st. We just had a bad one. I hope you didn't buy it. Or I hope you went in informed and bought it only because it seemed appropriate and, fitting to your goals and your needs. So
yeah, you needed those extra, 700 or whatever
when
afford
Malekith
Rocket Raccoon.
Around, I remember on 2 different episodes, the week before and the week that I actually did it, I knew I would have to buy a bad Token Tuesday to get Malekith. And I bought that bad Token Tuesday and I got Malekith and I don't regret a damn thing.
It's a weak Token Tuesday, remember?
Yes, that's right. I wasn't looking at my notes, but I have it in my notes as a weak Token Tuesday. Yes, I know. If you thought, no, that very focused week in Snap Ben just talked about, that was clearly written like word for word. He was just reading verbatim from his notes, right? No, absolutely not. Just freehand, just blindfolded, just doing it
by
off
the seat of your pants,
baby. Yeah, by the seat of my pants, precisely. That was my week, Lauren. I must know about yours now.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna springboard off of you mentioning how our alliance. I don't remember if it was the first or second, but basically 2 weeks in a row we've missed
the final
the grand
reward.
prize.
Yes.
2 weeks in a row, and the only 2 weeks it's ever happened. And I think part of what's happened is everybody's really frustrated with Snap. There's other things to play, right? And I think that's pulled some people, right? Marvel Rivals, Bizarre, plenty of other things. But I think also there's just like Snap is frustrating right now. The meta's rough. And I was in a really low for over half the week. I was just like, this Doom 2099 stuff is just taking over the meta. I know it's not literally the best thing to do against it, but it feels like the best thing is to also play Doom 2099 and draw better, right? You get the scroll, or you get Doom 2099 first. So
also, are you sure that's not literally the best thing to do? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, it might be, depending on the meta, right? And I was just sick of it. It's really boring. Even if I'm playing a slightly different version of Doom 2099, it wasn't enough. And I just it's a struggle to get more than my 4,000 points.
Gotta play some Supergiant.
Yeah, we could talk about some bounty design. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I'm not going to get into it more than this. I hate that I have to spend 4 deck slots dedicated to clearing bounties. Yeah. And I do a lot of the destroy bounties. Sammy, what's up with that?
It's the ones that, especially that are you destroy 6 or discard this many, because that now you've narrowed it. It's not just discard X number of cards. I'll pick up the move ones because Meek flies around a bit, but don't make me move 5 cards in a match. It's Ben work.
So, Lauren, feel free to blame me, even though I did get a bunch of bounty points on the last day, because usually I'm in there throughout the week clearing out those discard 5 in a games and a lot of those move ones. And so like every time I logged in to like do some serious playing, I noticed that there were a million discard bounties because I hadn't been doing regular maintenance. And like, sometimes you have to show up for more than one day of the week. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll just
it can be a little bit my fault.
But I wish they did more that were destroy 40, discard 40. I wish they were more like that instead of do 5 in a game, do 6 in a game. I have decks that can reliably do either, but then you're locked into you have to do it 5 games. It's like, what if I want to do Wong shenanigans and get this done in 1 game where I discard a million things? I don't know. I think that's more fun and more creative. But even then, it's still just like, I want more bounties that let me play the game how I want to play. That was more than I meant to talk about them. I was very frustrated with the game, and then
I feel the same though.
I played a little bit of your Malekith Surfer deck. That was fun.
Also,
I remembered that I had bookmarked a Doom 2099 deck that was a different Doom 2099 deck. It was from W. It was a Lockdown Spectrum deck. And I love this deck. It is so fun. I have had a lot of fun with Lockdown. Obviously, it's my favorite archetype. And I've had a lot of fun with Spectrum before. And this did both. And it struggled sometimes against the scrolls. But other than that, this was slapping face. And I should read it off. Where did my phone go? Oh, it's in my pocket. Okay. I named it Panic Room. He named it something else, but I named it Panic Room because it's Lockdown with Doom involved. Ant-Man, Ebony Maw, Madam Web, Goose, Cosmo, Red Guardian, Doom 2099, War Machine, Professor X, Claw, Doctor Doom, and Spectrum. It has quite a high curve. It's actually literally 2 of every cost point, which is cool. High curve for my taste. Madam Web is so fun.
I
don't play her much.
I think part of it is I've tried so much to do Lockdown with Valkyrie, and I really just need to give up on Valkyrie, my love. And also Storm is meh right now, but Goose and Professor X are awesome Lockdown cards right now. Doom 2099.
Seeing a lot of War Machine. I've been seeing a lot of War Machine Doom 99 decks.
I also have been seeing some War Machine of late.
Yeah, I have seen some. And also the scrolls take your War Machine, so you have to be careful with that. Although sometimes it's worth it if it lets you play your Ebony Maw,
I am loving all these super scrolls, though. Just quick aside, because I'm rarely playing the ongoings they want.
Yeah.
Whenever they play super scroll, because that's a really bad tempo play.
Having them scroll and they copy the Goose, copy the Cosmo, copy the Professor X, they don't realize they've done that. So that's where I'm really careful about when I put down War Machine or Ebony Maw, another card you don't want your scroll to copy. And so this deck has actually a lot where it's really fun to have, they've locked down 2 lanes that their Doombots can't go into or whatever. Anyway, I think Madam Web is kind of like a critical mass card with War Machine, where between the 2 of them, you have a lot of access into Professor X and Ebony Maw.
And Goose.
Yeah.
They don't both have to show up.
Yes, and Goose. Right. You only need one or the other. If I have Ebony Maw down on the board early, I can just play everything on Madam Web and send them over to Ebony Maw when I need to. I have had so much fun with this deck.
That's awesome.
So that really that revived how I was feeling about the game. And I wasn't at any risk
the dark side.
I wasn't at any risk of leaving or quitting the podcast yet. I wasn't it wasn't close to that, but it was just this game, it feels like nothing but a chore right now. And I like it when it's fun sometimes. I think I was on the brink where I was going to cook. But holidays, they took up a lot of time this week.
For real.
So,
I feel
another
like
thing
you went to the... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Lauren.
No, you, please. You first.
I was just saying, it's funny because we dealt with this meta in different ways. Ben did what Ben does, regardless of the meta.
Yeah, he just goes taller.
Yeah, just planets just always go bigger and then, retreat when you're not going to do that.
You should get better at that last part, though, honestly.
Yeah. I feel like you gave in to despair and joined. You're like, well, I can't beat Vader, so now I shall join the Sith. And I feel like Wombat Combat introduced me to, like, have you met these scrappy rebels that aren't wanted by anyone? Together you can defeat them all.
That's great.
We had a whole Star Warsing. Okay. Anyway.
The other thing I did is I went back to my comfort negative, pre-gore negative, and that is an example of a deck that can easily go taller than Doom 2099. It just has to do its thing. That also made me very happy. It's very fun having turns where you can slam 6 or 7 cards. I don't know why there are still people who stay against Jane Foster. Like, I'm winning. I guarantee I'm winning. I can put down tons of power. But yeah, I mean,
sometimes
that deck
it works
just
out, but I probably stay against Jane too often.
Yeah. Yes,
Which
I
is
have beaten a Jane
tempting.
negative, but it is it's a tall order. I can easily take a lane from 0 to like 60 in a single turn. That was not meant to be like an automobile reference, but it kind of turned out that way. Okay. Anyway, that made me happy to play a big combo deck. That is the answer. Big combo decks. That's how you beat 2099. But I would be happy for that meta to end.
Or a collection of the craziest tech cards you've ever seen with some tempo.
Yes. That's another way to do it. However, the meta did not really shift this week because, well, Bruce Banner was this week's new card. A 2/1. When you end a turn with unspent energy, 25% chance to Hulk out. He turns into a 6/12 Hulk. We predicted he would be garbage, and I think that is the primary reaction I've seen. I didn't get him, and I've hardly seen him. You too?
Reed, did you get him?
No. But I did. Okay, the first time I saw him, though, right? It was like, boom, Bruce Banner. Never seen this card before. Goes down. Turn immediately ends. Hulk out! Instantly a Hulk there. The very first time I ever saw him, he popped that turn. But like, and it won them the game. I was like, well, because I retreated like a turn or two later, and turn 6. I can't beat him now.
Yeah.
That Hulk's too big.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't. I won him, but I'd rather have the next 2 weeks' cards. I know you didn't get him, did you, Ben?
Absolutely not. Oh my gosh. I mean, like, the card, I can't tell if it's exactly as bad as I thought, or if it's maybe a little better than I thought, but I thought it was so bad that either way, it's pretty bad. Although, if you love this card, I apologize if I don't know. I want to be respectful of the feelings of people who like cards that I don't think are good. I don't know. I will
it's
say
our opinion on whether a card is good or not. I think that's always true.
Bruce Banner does turn into the Hulk, and sometimes that will win you the game, or at the very least make the other person retreat. I sometimes retreated because of a Bruce Banner that hulked out. The other thing is, it usually happens before turn 6, so you usually have an opportunity to retreat after it hulks out, which is maybe not great for winning a whole bunch of cubes. Not really a quality you want in your card. But anywho,
Ben, I need you to commit. Would you rather run Emperor Hulkling or Bruce Banner?
Emperor Hulkling. I think
both in a deck.
A lot.
Although I don't know. The thing is, like, it's hard to. I don't know. Another thing about Bruce Banner that I will say is that it is cool when he hulks out, but then I look at my opponent's board and I look at what else they have on the board, and it's always shrimpy and like below rate because they've been skipping energy, just hanging the budget like every.
And High Evo can't keep up.
Yeah, it's
It's been power crept.
I haven't looked up what the win and cube rates are of these high Evo decks with Bruce Banner in them, but I kind of suspect they might not be great. But, also maybe all the good people are playing on their phones and not tracking it because, hey, I don't know. I mostly play on my phone, and there are people better than me who probably also play mostly on their phone. So, like, you never know where the truth of it is. But, yeah, I don't know.
This discussion did get me to... Oh, I'm sorry. Were you still...
I'm sorry. I'm just, trying not to say mean things about this card and admit that it sometimes does things.
He deserves it.
It's
say
just,
mean things.
It kind of seems like a real stinker. I thought it would be a stinker. It's
kind of fun.
I will say it's probably better than the Datamind version of Cobra, but that's
yes, agreed.
If that's the benchmark, I don't know.
But I think the same thing that makes him weaker is the same thing. Like, look at how Sunspot is just even in decks that are sometimes I mean, you if you see Infinite, it's usually because they're playing War Machine, not because because skipping energy. Energy is worth so much more now, right? So skipping it to just convert it directly to power is just weaker and weaker and weaker as time goes on. So unless you've got magic going and you're doing in Luna Snow and you're doing all this energy cheat stuff where you're going to have all this super energy, Sunspot's not worth it anymore. Maybe eventually more so, but to me, okay, because this did get me to dust off my my beloved Spider Bay deck that I built for Spider Woman. That's a high Evo deck with Shuri and Blink, and Abomination, Affliction style. I don't have Ajax, or maybe I would try him out, but I finally figured out, I hadn't played it since they destroyed White Widow, and I finally figured the right card, and it's Zabu, of course. I have 3 forecasts in there, so why wouldn't I have a Zabu where I want to skip energy anyway? And it was fun. Like I said, I'm High Evo was fun. It was fun, but yeah, it didn't feel super OP in comparison because once again, it's just that problem where energy. Look at you can play a Luna Snow now for 3 costs, and she's awkward in a deck like this because I want to be playing Cyclops and other stuff. On turn 3, but I wish, it'd be OP if she was 2. But yeah, it's just your value almost always you want to be playing cards. It's just worth more than ever skipping energy at this point right now, right?
That's my feeling, but I don't know. I was just checking on Untapped, and I don't pay for it or anything, so I was just looking at the rank 10 to 79 or whatever, and apparently Bruce Banner's got a 57% win rate, but I don't know if that's because it's a ton of retreats or if it's because
inflation.
I have no idea how. I don't usually spend a lot of time looking at the card stats on Untapped, so I don't know how to parse that necessarily, but that's my update. Sorry for interrupting with... But I do think...
I was pretty much done. I'm just saying I do think his problem is bigger than himself, and there could be a future where, if suddenly skipping energy could be better again, it would thereby increase his value.
A different context could make this a different card, or maybe they could change something else about it. Maybe it could be a 1 cost or something. I don't know.
Okay. I have the Untapped stats. Bruce Banner in top 50% of Infinite. That seems pretty broad, right? That's different from top 10 where it's very competitive. Top 50%. That's anybody who's playing casually, and I don't know. Is it a core player? Anybody who's listening to this is probably playing enough Snap that they.
I've found out in recent weeks that our listener base is more diverse in terms of player type than I would have anticipated, based on our snobby elitist.
Sure. I saw somebody who had just hit Infinite for the first time, and they tagged all
Emperor
of us.
Hulkling with tokens. Don't call me snub.
Hey, we have fun. Anyway, top 50% of Infinite. That just seems like a reasonable place to remove the bot inflation. Average cubes is negative 0.22. Win rate is 47.5.
Negative 0.22?
Mm-hmm.
That seems real stinkeroo.
He's in D tier. Not that I don't really like Untap's tiering system because they put play rate as it's a really strong factor. But
that's goofy. That's wow. Yeah. Okay. I can't overstate how silly a choice that is in my
I'm not a fan of it. But anyway, that's just that one decision of Untap's I'm not a fan of. Otherwise, it's a great site. Okay. Moving on to next week's card.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Next week's card, the ending of the season. Oh, does that mean it's high voltage this coming week?
I guess so. Sounds about
Oh
right.
yeah, I already forgot that was happening.
Reed, do you want to add Lasher real quick?
That feels somewhat burdensome. Honestly, I feel like we were just slogging it out in the diner. Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm surprised how it really does feel too fast. But the long term plan is, as far as I know, one special limited time game mode per season.
I mean, once they get the third one, they're gonna rotate the three of them indefinitely. I suppose.
Yeah, you ready for Diner in January or February? Okay. Rocket Raccoon
is. Oh, okay. Sorry,
we can start with Lasher. Lasher's the prize for high voltage.
Looks like Lasher is a 2/2 with the ability to activate. Afflict an enemy card here with negative power equal to this card's power. So I looked at this.
I think Lasher is a super fun quest card.
Yeah. I wish it was an on-reveal, honestly.
Like playing Lords of Waterdeep or something. I love that. You might have changed how I feel about activate cards now. Okay, sorry.
He's kind of activate double your power, right?
Yeah. That's
which
basically, yeah.
Ben Reilly does that too, or a Scarlet Spider, but that takes up space. I think it's a fun card, but yeah, I mean, it's a 2/4 vanilla. Like, if you're playing it in an affliction deck, then you have other reasons to afflict. But if you build him up, right, throw him on an agony or give him a spider, that could be a pretty high power card.
Go in my Spider Bay deck. Okay, I'm excited. I'm glad we're getting this one for free. Hype.
Yeah, power wise, I think. And this is a very broad range, but I think between Atri and Cassandra Nova. Oh, there's Agony too. I think better than Agony.
You know what I think?
Oh, Cassandra Nova's got to be the best.
Lasher. I'm not saying this is the practical thing to do with this card, but I think it would be fun to make a big Lasher in your hand with, Gwenpool or whatever, or, even just play a big Lasher with Galacta or whatever. So you've got your big Lasher, you activate it. Yeah. And then I don't know, you move it, slide it down with Heimdall or something. They've got negative power in that lane. You've got positive power in the next lane over. It's you're doing, I don't know.
Wait, are you saying you want to steal power and then move the card that stole the power?
Yeah.
Have I got the card for you?
Segue. Are we ready for that? Do we have more to say about Lasher?
I don't have a lot more to say about Lasher.
That's just a cute thing.
We're all gonna get to
so
play.
Often, there'll be a lane that has one card in it, and if you just wreck that one card, and I don't know.
Yeah, I had
even if it's got more than one card.
This is a little package, a little 3-card combo that I played with once, and I loved it, but I could never flesh out a deck around it. But it was Shuri, Hobgoblin, Ghost Spider. And the whole point was you're throwing a -16 Hobgoblin over there, they're abandoning the lane. But then you use Ghost Spider, and the -16 is going somewhere else. And it was super fun when you pulled it off, but it's so niche.
That happened to me this week, Lauren, and then I got
somebody did that to you?
Yeah. Someone did a Shuri Hobgoblin Ghost Spider to me.
With the
Yes.
ghost spider. Wow, you really don't see that very often.
No,
Right?
you don't.
That's why I was kind of like, I couldn't be mad because I was like,
Yeah.
because I immediately wanted to like go put Shuri and Hobgoblin like back in a deck, you know?
Yeah, it's cool.
Probably
I
with
just wanted
Nomura.
Clarify it doesn't matter how many cards they have at the location. For some reason, like when I picture it in my head, they have one card at the location that you afflict with a huge amount of negative power. But like even if they have 4 cards, if you just inflict something in the lane with a huge amount of negative power, or if they've got like 3 cards, you just want to convince them to abandon the lane and then move the card.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I realized I was not explaining myself very clearly.
But that's the kind of play you see, and you're not even actually like, that looks so fun. I immediately want to do that. Yeah.
It's hard to be mad at something that's clever and or that you don't see hardly ever. It's like, you know what? Good for you.
But also in all that cuteness of the thing that I was pitching, I forgot to mention, I just think this card's pretty good, right? Like this card's like real good, isn't it? I mean, like, I wish it was an on-reveal, but it would be too good if it was an on-reveal, right?
Oh, Lasher?
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed. That's a great card. Pretty good. I think pretty good.
And it's so cheap too. Like, ooh, you can always squeeze in a 2.
Yeah. We're going to have so much fun with it. All of us.
I don't know how much it's a 2 that you want to play on curve. Like, it's fine if you do. You're not mad about a 2/4.
No, this is a 2 that you're going to play on turn 5 probably.
But better if you can drop it with Galacta or some other source of power. I guess Agony into Lasher is really not that bad. That's I
get weary when I'm deck building of having too many low cost cards that I'm holding back. I feel like a lot of cards lately have encouraged us to do that. Like, hold back your low cost cards to buff them, and then you have nothing to play on curve, and then you got to play your high cost cards later, and you just end up with too much. I don't know. It's just something in deck building I've been looking at. I'm like, it's something I can play on curve. I mean, Ben's talked about it before. Something you can play on curve is delicious.
I actually, for our secret homework, I did. There was a mechanical identity for the season I was going to pitch that was, in fact, play cheap cards after playing expensive cards. But I was thinking about it. And like for the reasons we were just that you were just talking about, like it's not great. And also it reminded me of Mercenaries from Magic the Gathering. And like, I don't know if you remember Mercenaries, but they're the opposite of Rebels. And Rebels were good because they fetched cards that were bigger than they were. And Mercenaries were bad because they fetched cards that were smaller than they were. So like you'd play an expensive mercenary and you could tutor out a smaller mercenary.
It's just not the right scaling.
Yeah. But like Rebels, it works the other way. You'd play a small rebel, it would tutor out a bigger rebel. And like, that's good.
You want a card that you can play on curve. Have I got a card for you? Rocket Raccoon and Groot. A 3/3. You can move this once. After your opponent plays a card here, steal 1 power from it. Thoughts?
It's really good.
Very good card.
Yep, agreed.
Any card, as we've said before, that you can just move of its own power on a turn of your deciding. Like, it's like, what? You just gonna I don't know if it's like, oh man, remember when Jeff was so amazing, and now it's just like so many cards can do it, Jeff. It's weird to do.
Well, you know what? This is the first time they've done this is the first time they've released one of these at the same energy cost as one that we've already got. Like there's just Vision, there's just Jeff, there's just Nightcrawler. But now
It's true.
Now it's Nocturne versus Rocket and Groot. And Nocturne has a certain special something that I feel like maybe is worth more than people. I mean, we've had this conversation before. Like, how much is that the Scarlet Witch thing worth? You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of think maybe a lot.
I think so too. I think that is probably underrated. However, Rocket Raccoon and Groot, I think become the good cards 3-drop. I don't know if they're quite strong enough to just be the ubiquitous throw in everything 3-drop, which is a good thing.
I think
you don't
Red
want
Guardian
them to hit that
is
point.
still maybe the kind of you reach for. I still think, because
Protect.
Red Guardian solves problems. Rocket and Groot is just a generic threat.
Right.
It's just numbers.
And you don't want your generic threats to be so good that they're getting thrown into your synergy decks, your combo decks, right? So, which is not to say you can't do combos with Rocket, Raccoon, and Groot, right? I think they go great with Nebula. They go great with Jean Grey.
Hope.
Good enough to make Jean Grey good? I don't know.
I mean, like, this card definitely goes in, like, Hope Surfer and other stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely Surfer card. That's a good combo, yeah.
Probably want to play it in an Angela deck if they ever make Angela good again for, a month or two.
Yeah.
At least I like
Silky
playing
Smooth
the
to
move
come
cards
back.
on that. Yeah,
That's what I
something in
want.
that vein. I don't
think they're
usually
gonna
do
be
exactly that,
fun.
but I do a lot of Silky Smooth adjacent stuff.
And then kind of what you were talking about with Lasher, you can then move after you've, split up the stolen power. If they drop something like a Shadow King, it can only affect half that power. If they drop Luke Cage, it can only affect half that power. That's cool. I like that.
But half of that, yeah, man, it's just like the +1 and the -1, they feel like very small amounts. And I know that these things do add up. I'm just like, I'm not sure I'm quite as high on the card as everybody else is, but I'm still pretty high on the card. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's going to be Rocket. There's going to be games where you proc this thing 5 times. Like, I mean, obviously that's a little
and
bit.
It never hits Shang-Chi like range, even if you proc it 5 times.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. You have to hit it 7 times to be shongable. And at that point, it's a 317.
Yep.
Silly. Okay.
But there's also the value in just like pushing your opponents to play somewhere or to not play somewhere, So,
Yeah.
when you plop it down, they're going to try to avoid playing there, which, goes with a lot of it. Sometimes it's just defensive. I just want
Then
them
you
to fill
drop
up
down
another
the
location.
storm.
Yeah. My advice to people playing against this card is just like kind of ignore it. That's what I'm going to do, because they might move it. And just like, don't start making bad moves just because of like, I mean, a 2-point swing is significant, but like if it was the right place to play that card, it's probably still the right place to play that card. And hey, maybe they're going to move it out of the way anyway. Maybe you're one step ahead of their mind game. So that's my plan when this card drops, is I'm going to try to ignore it. I'm going to pretend it's Echo and just completely put it out of my mind.
And then like screw yourself later. Oh man, it's always funny watching people play stuff onto Echo whenever you're playing an Echo deck.
Multiple times in the same game.
No, they forgot.
Someday I'll become aware of that card.
I just had a thought. I think this is a buff for Lizard. Is it good enough that you want to play Lizard?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
If they drop 4 cards in the same lane in order to hurt Lizard, then
I don't think you can.
The thing is, they're probably not doing that.
Like, I don't think you can affect their
2/5.
behavior that much to like regularly produce filled lanes that wouldn't be filled lanes anyway, just to play a vanilla 2/5 dodging this drawback.
You just think 5 is too low. It probably is.
Yeah, I think that like Silk struggles so hard being a 2/5 that basically doesn't have like kind of has a drawback, but like it's not a drawback. So like if Silk can't hang right now, I don't think Lizard can hang right now.
That's fair. I guess
also,
it is more
Agent
than just
Venom is out here just like doing things and being 2/5, and like
That's a good point.
I don't know. I think Lizard needs something else, I will say.
Yeah. I remember when Lizard was the premier 2-drop. You put him in everything.
Yep.
And then they nerfed him, and yeah, but
also
you're
the game
probably
moved
right
on,
that
like
if they reverted the nerf, it probably still is just a bad
would
card.
not see
Doesn't
play.
have high enough power anymore. Okay, Spotlight Friends, Blob and Selene, cards from last December.
Oh wow, already that long. I hope I can get that Selene variant when I
It is a
open.
nice
I'm opening
variant.
keys that week. My take is that Blob is useful where he is, but very boring, and Selene is incredibly fun, although certainly much more narrow. But hey, do you guys see Blob outside of Irisham anymore? I don't really see Blobs.
Blob's time has passed. That's what I think. I mean, like I think that Blob is still going to see play, but Blob is never going to see as much play as Blob did. And like, I don't think they're interested in making Blob better than Blob is right now. I think they're interested in making more good 6 drops. And I don't think that Blob is not a growth industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Blob could go in Thanos, but if you have Gore, you use Gore instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe
I agree. For the big 6 drop, even like Red Hulk, you'd probably rather play as a generic, right?
Yeah, so those 3 are your big 6s.
From Red Hulk.
Plus Eliath for like a tech.
Yeah. I keep thinking that Blob would be great with Sauron now that like the ongoing is less and Sauron has all those big cards, but like Sauron just hasn't been good for, so there's just better ways to get big that like being a Sauron card means you're not playing. But I can see if Sauron's time comes back, Blob will be great in that deck. The deck's just bad. Blob would be good in it. In my opinion.
I'm genuinely disappointed at how long it's taken to get another Sauron card. US Agent was about to be one, and then they just haven't done one this entire year.
I agree. They need to give more support to that. I mean, we don't want Shuri Sauron Reign to come back, but
there was an answer recently where Glenn was like, "I'm sure we'll make us more Sauron cards." But I'm just like, why has it been this long and there's still just none other?
They've been too busy putting steel power on like everything.
Yeah. Okay. Selene, I agree, is a very fun card. I think slightly slept on, but also just like, unless you're running goblins or something like that, she's hard to use.
Selene is someone the kind of card that I'm very excited to have, just because I like having like options and like fun things to do. But like, if you have limited resources and you would like to win games, I do have Selene. I love Selene. Oh, okay. I'm just saying, like, if you don't have Selene, but you're like, I wish I had a functioning collection that I could make exciting decks with, Selene is like very low on your list. Selene is like a fun novelty and like an expensive ingredient that you buy to make one thing. You know,
she's not meta, but she does a lot. She's like, if you can get that -3 out through a goblin or a donated hood or something like that.
That happened to me this week as well. 3 -6 goblin. It was not fun.
It's great value. If
she's a 1/5 and there's a card in their hand they're not playing.
If they wanted to play it, you have indeed made a big difference.
Yeah. Okay. There's no just like a heads up. No OTAs or patches till January. They did this week announce character mastery. It sounded like it was going to be in January, but they want to be kind to their employees for holiday time, not have crunch, or not excessive pressure. So character mastery is officially announced for February. I'm excited for it. I hope that it's good. I think that there are some mysteries that they need to answer before it comes out, because if I'm unlocking a bunch of split types, a bunch of finishes and flares that I don't like, I don't want to like make it harder to get Crackle, you know,
dilute your Crackle chance. Yeah, that I'm really glad I don't care very much about that stuff, because when I read that, I was like, wow, that would really upset me if I allowed it to.
Yeah, so it's like, are they going to do a full mix and match? Will they let you turn them off? I don't think it's a good system if people are just intentionally not unlocking the things in character mastery. I don't know. I have concerns, but I'm also very excited for this feature. We'll talk about it more when there's more to talk about.
Yeah.
I hope it's all good news. Specifically for your sake, Lauren. I mean, I hope it's good news for everyone for all things, but I'm especially invested in the happiness of my co-hosts in Snap, you know.
It's a mode they brought back because of player demand. So, you know, it better
or a
be
feature
good.
Or whatever.
Right. Not a mode, a feature. Player request.
I would have stronger feelings if it were a mode. Oh man, I would have some expectations then.
Yeah. I know we've kind of already moved on, but are they going to do anything different for high voltage? We may have already said this.
They don't ban Black Widow this time because she's activate now, so they probably ban something else in the Black Widow spot.
Because you could play her on turn 1 and activate her on turn 2, and it would still suck.
I think it's a little softer, though. I think...
I want to see a different meta. I
do, too. I hope they block some... I don't know, Alioth. Just block a few more cards. It would be great. It would make it more interesting.
They did 3 I don't think they're going to. Right?
I think it's going to be exactly the same. Yes, it was Galactus, Magic, and Black Widow, specifically because they slow down the game and high voltage is a fast game. I guess that's for those two. Maybe Galactus is just that sucks to have Galactus happen in a 3-turn game. Yeah, but ban some for fun. Keep those 3 banned. Ban more. Okay.
Yeah.
I nominate Ebony Maw. Get him out of here.
Oh, yeah, he was a menace.
Yeah, I mean, he would definitely come back, but you have to wonder if they don't make any changes, if the new cards that have come out have changed, that the meta will be different by virtue of all the different cards.
299 is bad in high voltage.
So
yeah,
bad
because it's
voltage.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm happy now.
Yeah, you can get all your missioning done in high voltage.
On to the side quests. First up, and only this week, secret homework. Secret homework. Secret homework. Secret homework. Did you hear it? Did it record better this time? Okay, this week's secret homework was to come up with a season crossover, a la Marvel Rivals, with a non-comic Marvel IP. This was assigned by Ben, so we're going to hear his pitch first. And I don't know that there was something about extra credit, but there was the requirement that you could not design more than 2 cards.
And you didn't have to design any.
Right. So I guess that was the extra credit. Go up to 2.
No, the extra credit was the restraint, honestly. Well, I guess the restraint was mandatory. There was no extra credit.
We were required to design 1 card. So I'm just saying.
Oh, well, I think we all did anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah.
All right. So for those who couldn't tell, was this secret homework? Yeah, it definitely was just an excuse for me to talk more about X-Men Legends 2, one of my favorite Marvel video games. I mean, like, if it wasn't this, it was going to be Ultimate Spider-Man. You know what I wish I was talking about?
That's what I was expecting.
You know what I wish I was talking about? I wish I was talking about Marvel versus Capcom 2. I feel like that's like the critics' choice. Like, that's what people want. That's what the most people would be happy if I had pitched for a season of Marvel Snap, you know, because like it's like the best beloved of all the Marvel video games, I think. Probably more so than Marvel versus Capcom 3.
Those would be some great pixel variants.
Wouldn't they? The art is incredible. Here's the thing. I was not raised playing a lot of violent video games, and I just wasn't allowed to play no Marvel versus Capcom 2 at the time when it was, you know, in arcades and homes and stuff, especially not in arcades. I mean, like this. Do I seem like I come from people who throw quarters into arcade? No. We have whatever we have at home, you know. That's my feeling.
Powerful.
Anywho, and what I did have at home, X-Men Legends 2: Rise of Apocalypse. For those who don't know, it's an action role-playing game developed by Raven Software and published by Activision. It is the follow-up to 2004's X-Men Legends. I almost did X-Men Legends so that I could put Magma in, because Magma is like the fish out of water, the audience surrogate character in the first X-Men Legends game. So you control Magma when you're walking around the X-Mansion, finding out about all the X-Men stuff, you know. But X-Men Legends 2 is the better of the 2 games in a variety of ways, partially because it's got this buck wild roster that you would not believe. So I really had some good options. So I'm just going to tell you about the cards. I think the Season Pass card would have to be Sunfire. Sunfire is pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool that Sunfire is one of the playable characters in X-Men Legends too. Shoot, I don't want to go into too much detail. I'll just tell you about the characters. We got Sunfire. We got Marrow. We've got Toad. We've got Archangel, because now every season has to have at least one retread character. And let's say Bastion. Those are the 5. No, let's make it 6. This is a 6-card season. Destiny. And I have so many backups. All right, let me tell you about some honorable mentions. Guardian, Vindicator. That's right, from Alpha Flight, those two. Dark Beast. When Beast is evil, sometimes he goes a little dark.
How they come up with that name,
etc. I know, very creative. Sugar Man, a character that I've only encountered in this video game. Never read a comics appearance, but I did some research about Sugar Man. I decided I couldn't include him because I don't like I don't have enough firsthand knowledge of Sugar Man. But look up Sugar Man if you're curious. Cool character design, interesting vibes. Abyss. Strife. I think Strife has already been datamined and is in the game, like Evil Cable is the short version. Also, honorable mention, Pyro. When are we going to get Pyro? We should get Pyro. Why don't we have Pyro yet? He's in so many movies now. Deadpool and Wolverine, the Stepford Cuckoos. Could have had them in there. Some interesting characters that we could have variants for from this season include Lady Deathstrike. She's one of the first bosses in the game. Pretty cool. Sauron. Pretty cool. Another boss in the game, one that I had not heard of from the comics because, he's sort of a Khazar kind of thing. Oh, also Khazar. Why do I call him Khazar? Why don't I say Khazar? A lot of people say Khazar. You know why? Because Patrick Stewart calls him Khazar. They've got Patrick Stewart as Professor X in both X-Men Legends games. And whenever you select the characters, he'll say their name. So whenever I think of these characters, when I think of Juggernaut, I don't think of Juggernaut. I think of Juggernaut. And, I think of Iceman, Jean Grey, Wolverine, he says them a little funny. And that's how I think of, and I don't know. I've caught myself listening back to the podcast. I will sometimes do a Patrick Stewart voice when I say the name of a character that is playable in X-Men Legends, including Toad. But I've got a design. I've got a design for one of these cards. It's not the season pass card because you only take Destiny on one escort mission, but here's my design for Destiny. I feel sure I must have stolen this from, I don't know, either a Magic the Gathering card or some cool suggestion that someone else had or something, because it just seems like too good an idea for me to have come up with myself. I don't know. You ever have that? Yeah, we've all had that. I choose to assume we've all had that. My experience is universal experience.
They have to come from somewhere. It's okay for you to have a good idea.
Some of this is going to sound a little familiar. This is a 1/2 with an ongoing. Tap this to see the top card of not your deck, your opponent's deck. And it's not just an ongoing card, it's also an activate card. So if you just want to look at the card, you tap for the ongoing. But if you want to tap and hold for the activate, you shuffle your opponent's deck. So if you don't like what they've got on top, maybe shake the snow globe a little bit. See if something else lands on top. Yeah. Maybe you just want extra info. I mean, you probably don't. You're probably trying to avert a specific outcome.
Yeah, but, that's great.
Yeah, I think the season pass card would be so fun.
Well, so I don't know about the shuffle the deck. The look at the top of the deck wasn't that Rhee's Jessica Jones?
That was one of the things that might have been Rhee's Jessica Jones. So yeah, I probably just stole from Rhee.
The best version of Jessica Jones, though, was if you could see their hand.
Yeah.
We had the co-murder board.
Cool, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, it's possible that I stole it from Rhee just last week. So that's that. I told you it was too good an idea for me to have had it.
Do you have a second card? Do you have locations?
With the shuffling, that feels very thematic. Like being able to avert one event, in the future. I'm into it. It's also
I don't know. I know what she looks like, and I know she's like Mystique's wife, but I don't know what her abilities are.
She's got precognition.
Okay, yeah, that's great. That's very appropriate then.
And it's always that thing, like, Mystique's mad at her because, like, she lied about, like, their kids, but it's one of those, like, I had to do it to, like, save, you know? She's always got that kind of drama going on. Like, I couldn't tell you, and things had to go this way. And it's like, but did they, though? You know?
Yeah,
like,
you just always use that excuse?
But that's not how relationships work, you know, is kind of Mystique's whole angle on it. Like, anyway. All right, sorry. I digressed.
But yeah, I don't know. Season pass card, probably Sunfire or maybe Toad, because as I said a couple weeks ago,
Toad.
I just really want them to put Toad in this dang game. But yeah, man, there's no good way to play X-Men Legends 2 anymore. But if there were, I would tell you to go play it and check it out. But I don't know. Maybe find a way and do that.
The remaster version, obviously, that's why the crossover is happening.
But that's Activision situation, and yeah, you're right.
This is the hypothetical fantasy.
There's a remaster. That's why we're doing a tie-in for a video game that came out 20 years ago. Okay, all right, I love it.
It's the holidays, Ben. Let yourself dream a little.
So I feel like I went on more than long enough for the amount of substance I had. Oh, wait, I was asked about locations. Some cool locations. You could do the Tomb of Apocalypse. You could do the Brood tunnels. Yeah, you go down into some Brood tunnels. Oh, also, fun fact, in Marvel Rivals, Magneto says Genosha with that hard G. And in X-Men 97... he's a Genosha Magneto. So just a fun trivia fact. But I came to that by the Brood tunnels that I was talking about in X-Men Legends 2 are in fact in Genosha after it's been attacked and stuff. I don't know. It's a fun game. Nobody's really playing it for the plot. It's all goofy. Like, you know, like they're just throwing characters at you. They're like, yeah, and Lady Deathstrike's there and she wants to fight you just cause.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, there are lots. There's a blimp. The name of the location could be the blimp where you fight Abyss, and
it's catchy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Well, I don't know who's next because Rhea is assigning next week's homework, so it's me. It's me. All right.
It's yours.
So my first thought, best thought was She-Hulk because, you know, it was maligned, but I loved it. It was a very fun show, and I think it was incorrectly maligned. Yeah,
Yeah, I loved it.
And who doesn't want a variant of She-Hulk in that adorable blue polka dot dress? But then I was like, wait, but all the major players in that show are already cards.
Not quite.
And so then I was like, wait, because there's the Wrecking Crew and there's Abominstay. And I don't know that they count as major players, but they're interesting players. And so I stuck with She-Hulk. Abominstay being Emil Blonsky, a.k.a. Abomination, his yoga retreat for, I don't know, reforming villains or whatever. That's the name of their group. So for the She-Hulk remaster, I guess this is the hypothetical. I went with a season pass of Wrecker, who is the one, you know, character between the Wrecking Crew and Abominstay. He is one of the cards that I built. Not sure about this ability, but I think it's a Sauron card. 410 ongoing. Distribute this card's power evenly across all your cards.
Well, as a gamer, I love that.
Interesting. Yeah.
I haven't fully thought through the ramifications about what that means. But, you know, you can kind of like load some of his power into a different location by playing more cards there. So got a tiny bit of Mojo World going on, tiny bit of Tribunal. Anyway, because I learned when I read on his Wikipedia today that before he like masters his abilities, he can lift 40 pounds, but he usually is sharing his powers with his teammates. And so they can each lift 10 tons. I said pounds, tons. anyway, I thought it was cool that he can share his ability with his group, and it, evenly distributes his power when he does so.
That's a cool ability in the game. I'm into it.
Okay.
Can I briefly say that the game after X-Men Legends 2, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, was a pretty fun boss fight against the Wrecking Crew. And you can also do simulation training missions against individual members. That's where I know the Wrecking Crew from. And also She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Great show. Continue, sorry.
I left the rest of the Wrecking Crew for a future Wrecking Crew season. So Wrecker's just the teaser. And later on, he could be the variant in in a Wrecking Crew season. So the rest of the
comes from the crowbar, right?
Yeah, or he can store it in the crowbar, and
okay.
The crowbar lets him generate an outfit. I don't know how much of that's in the MCU. It's what I read in the wiki today. The weekly ones are the rest of Obama's Day, Saracen, the vampire man, Man Bull, Minotaur guy, El Aguila, I don't know. Spanish name. He has powers, electricity powers, I think I read. Anyway, that was earlier this week when I was brainstorming. And Porcupine, the guy who has the stinky spiky suit.
He's dating Spider-Woman now in the comics. I think I've said that.
Porcupine is?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Really?
I know. It's real, dating up.
From what I saw, they're all characters that came from the comics, but they seemed like they were all pretty minor there.
I can speak to the existence of Saracen because I have some Versus system cards of Saracen. Remember the Crime Lords action. So I'd be playing him in a deck with Kingpin and such. I know nothing about the character's lore or anything like that, except apparently this appearance in She-Hulk Attorney at Law.
I was trying to... El Aguila generates electrostatic charges within his own body, which is interesting because I think one of the Wrecking Crew also has electric powers. Anyway.
I mean, there are only so many kinds of powers, right?
For the limited time game mode prize, because it's not in this season, it's not High Voltage or Diner. It's something way better. I'm not going to say what it is, but I'm just saying it's better. In that mode, the prize is Madison with a Y and 2 N's, but you don't know where the Y is because she's their sweetheart card. I totally said that wrong.
Her voice line is just her being.
It's so good.
Her voice line has to be her saying Wongers.
Yep. I definitely thought about a Wong interaction, but what I went with, because she tends to stumble into portals, was 2-1 on reveal. Swap this with a card in your opponent's deck.
Whoa.
Which I thought has kind of an interesting thing, because if you play it early, your opponent might draw it and then play it. And she's swapping back and forth.
Oh, one of those
all over the place.
hot potatoes.
Yeah, or you just play her the last turn.
That is thematically hilarious. She's just wondering, what the hell is happening?
Making deals with demons.
Every time it happens, she should get more drunk, and the voice line should okay. All right, so I'm way too into the
increasingly slurred. It would be a very fun card, a beloved character. If you haven't seen She-Hulk, there are many good reasons to see it, but Madison King is one of the best reasons. The variants in the season pass, I did MCU She-Hulk with the blue polka dot dress, of course, and MCU Titania with Jamila Jamil wearing the pink power suit and gaudy makeup. As Titania's want to do. And MCU Wrecker, that would be him out of his costume and in the Obama's Day. I don't know what to call this thing. It's kind of a white V-neck, but it crosses over. It's what they're all wearing on the retreat. It's relaxing clothing, sort of like Scrubs. Anyway. Conquest variant is going to be Abomination from Obama's Day. He's meditating. And some shop variants. We got Wong eating popcorn on the couch, and Hulk mixing drinks at his beachfront bar, and Matt Murdock attorneying. So not in a Daredevil costume, but with red sunglasses.
On his walk of shame.
I know, that's what I thought immediately too.
Yeah, that was my, yeah.
Oh, that would be better. You're right. Okay, that's what it is.
One of the most memorable moments in the series in my mind.
It was great.
There are a lot of memorable moments, though. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Just like,
Daredevil's wonderful in the show, too. Daredevil's always wonderful.
So good.
The locations, and then I'm done. Locations. I did Marvel Studios. It could be Kevin's office, but I think Marvel Studios is a more fun name. Each turn, swap the power of a card from each player's hand. So it picks one card in your hand and one card in your opponent's hand. It swaps their power. That seemed fourth wall breaky to me. I wanted lots of fourth wall breaking because that's She-Hulk, but it is hard to come up with abilities that break the fourth wall. I think Hydra Bob kind of does that, where he interacts with the snaps. I think that's interesting. Anyway.
That is interesting.
I would love to see more of that, even though I think it's very tricky to do.
Also, it makes him play weird in Conquest.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been talking about Hydra Bob a lot in the past few episodes, and I've never mentioned how weird he is in Conquest.
Does he move on the first turn of high stakes?
No, but he only moves when a player snaps. But there will come a time when players can't snap, and Hydra Bob is just stationary. So
No, he does move though, because once I was already maxed on cubes, but I snapped anyway, so he would move, and it let me.
Oh no! Like when it lets you snap, I guess he'll still snap. But there are games in not in Conquest when you can't snap. Like I think you can snap back. Like when someone else snaps to all the cubes, the other player has the option to snap back. Yeah. I think, but I think once you're already in high stakes, and
if you have less than 2 cubes, or if you have 2 or fewer cubes and you're in high stakes, yeah.
I don't know. Anyway. I'm having difficulty articulating the rule, but I think I would know it when I saw it. You know what I mean? I was
kind of surprised that he didn't move every turn in high voltage or in Diner. Like he came out the Diner season. Why doesn't he move every time Diner snaps? Like he would have been an interesting Diner card.
Especially because he is like a Deadpool sidekick. And
I thought that was really weird. Like you made a character that reacts to snaps, and you made a game mode with extra snaps, but.
He's a henchman with a negotiated contract. Gotta be to his benefit as well. Okay.
The other location I did was Summer Twilights, which is the name of Abomination's Retreat. The ability there is the highest power cards here do not add power to this location. It's the anti-throne room.
Wow. Nice.
That's my season. That's my She-Hulk season. It's a little chaotic.
But location design. I'm sorry, I didn't react right away. I was too busy thinking about it, but it's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's like a lot. Like all the stuff for the game, it's like, I would brew with that. And She-Hulk, we had so many fun moments with that. Oh, good call. We can visit that.
And last up, what was your season, Ree?
Okay. Mine I knew immediately, and so did some people. One of my friends who listens to the podcast was like, Ree, what did you pick as yours? I'm like, yeah, it was Marvel Midnight Suns. My favorite Marvel game, non-Marvel Snap. Marvel IP game. It is the game loop on that game. Yeah. It's just like, I am a sucker for a good game. Like for something that can ensnare me. Like I'm pretty sure I once tried to play like Dr. Mario on the Switch to help me fall asleep. And then I realized I've been playing for like 4 or 5 hours. I'll stop it because I can just, my brain can go there. And this is, I will I will moth to a game loop like Marvel Midnight Suns. I will throw myself like a moth against the open flame repeatedly over and over again. Because the game loop is just one where it's like, okay, go out, go first, you prep, you get all your you engineer, you upgrade some cards, because it's a turn-based.
And Steven in the inner sanctum area, they've got their 2 little crafting stations,
Yeah, so there's there's all the prep you can do, right? And then you go and you do your battle, which is like turn-based with cards. So you get to experience everything you've done. And then the third mode is like you get to go have little like dialogues with the characters and stories and do activities and grow your bonds, do little like kind of story stuff. And none of it is so long and it just loops, you know? It's just the perfect loop. It's like Gotham Knights should have done that, and it didn't have quite that loop.
Also, you gotta remember to go around and harvest your treasure chests and your Skyrim herbs every couple of days from around the Abbey. All that stuff.
Check in with Agatha.
Yep.
Yeah.
Man,
yeah,
Midnight Suns is such a good game.
It really is.
Underappreciated, and I wish it had sold more, and I wish they hadn't. Because I'll play all those Firaxis games even when they're not Marvel. You know, like I'm a big XCOM and Civilization kid, and I just wish this game had performed better so they would be incentivized to make more of them.
I want so many more.
Because I also love card games, and this is their only card game that they've ever done. And yeah, it's a very cool game.
Where else can you like gift Wolverine like some Canadian root beer and then paint a waterfall with them to increase your relationship? Okay, so yeah, I thought of that. That's where I had to go with it, even though I know it's kind of been, we have like the set of variants and stuff, so in a way it's already been done, but we're doing it again. So first of all, Season Pass card is going to be the protagonist of the game, who is just called the Hunter. You know, that's their generic-y, like, shepherd name for the main character, so that they can have voice lines while you can still name the character what you want. And a big part in the game is your character can use light powers or dark powers and really like go down hard that path and become kind of, you know, the classic video game choice. But they also, is important to them, you could dip a little into both, you know, and utilize it that way. And so I that's what I wanted to lean into with the Hunter. So I figured it would be a 4/4 with ongoing. The first time each turn a card's power is you increase or decrease a card's power, plus or minus that change by 1. So the first time a card is, if it's buffed, it gets a +1, or if it's a you know, or if it's an affliction, it'll be an additional one. And I would think this would work with cards like Hazmat and Spider-Woman, or on the light side with like Surfer, you know what I mean? So like, you know, making your big splash cards like Spectrum more valuable.
Oh, that's okay. So, I was thinking it would just be like the first card that gets buffed or the first card that gets afflicted, but you're saying the Hunter ramps up the ability, so that makes it. Yeah, that's powerful.
Originally I was thinking it'd be just the first time a card was, but I'm like, how much more fun is it though?
Oh, it's way more fun. And I was thinking +1 doesn't seem like enough, but
yeah, I think it's not only more fun, it's also more like practical. Like that power level is where it would need to be to see play.
Yeah, that's very cool.
And it's still counterable by Luke Cage and stuff, you know what I mean? So
still seems very fair.
Yeah. So then, also, now the problem with Midnight Suns is like all the heroes are already in the game. Every single one that you can play is in the game, but that's fine because there's plenty of villains that are in the game.
Baron von Strucker or something?
Well, Dr. Faustus is one. Close enough. But like, I thought, here's how it would get introduced with this all villains week. So our limited time mode is replacing, they're like, we got rid of Deadpool's diner. It's garbage. It's in the trash. It's never coming back. New mode. It's going to be, you know what a lot of card games have, PvE battles. So each week you have a like kind of auto battle, and it's like built where it's like you're not just playing the deck, but they might have a thing where it generates like a, you know, buy every turn or causes affliction, you know, little one-time offs, and that every week there's a new one, and it's you're fighting the villain card that's also being released that week, and there's going to be like a choice of like 3 or 4 Marvel Midnight's heroes that if you include that hero in that deck that week, it's like got a certain ability or bonus.
Ooh,
you know,
and balance patch stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I thought the villains would be first. Okay, not actually a villain, but you fight him as a misunderstanding because there's a narrative here. Connecting, going over the Marvel Midnight Suns story. It would be Johnny Blaze, who is like the very first Ghost Rider, I'm gonna say, or at least like comics wise first one. I go back in time, and because I want more. We should have more Ghost Riders. We deserve more Ghost Riders. So I thought he would be a 3/3, and this is Ghost Rider and Midnight Suns. I didn't like playing, to be honest, very much because he did a lot of like hurting, himself stuff, which I didn't enjoy. So this was along those lines. So Johnny Blaze is a 3/3. Each turn, if any cards in your discard pile, resurrect a random one at this location, and this card loses 3 power. So, can just, keep rezzing cards. And maybe the -3 is too much. Maybe it should be -2, but...
that was -3.
I like it.
Yeah. Right? You can pull back your black
Plus
cats.
it's limited to a single location. It's cool.
Yeah, and I didn't come up with... Those are the only cards I designed, but I figured we'd ramp up, and then we'd fight Dr. Faustus, Lilith... and then Cthon, and it would have this kind of narrative arc that would follow Marvel Midnight Suns. And the variants would be, firstly, I just had to pick my 2 favorite characters in the game, Magic and Nico. We were like a little trio buddy, so of course they get to be the variants. And I figured we'd do, because we already have the Midnight Suns variants. One of the fun things in the game is that you can pick all their outfits while they're hanging out in the Abbey and unlock more casual outfits. So I figured the variants would be casual outfits for Magic and Nico. And then the third one is Blade. For Blade's book club. What? Do you have a thought, Ben?
I have a suggestion for what the card back should be.
Okay. Oh, yes.
Okay, so my favorite of the wearable items in Marvel's Midnight Suns, there's one sweatshirt you can get that has a graphic design on it, and it's 4 of the main Midnight Suns inside profile in an homage to the album cover for the second Gorillaz album, Demon Days. And it's very clearly that's what they're doing, and it's very cool, and I would totally wear it, and I would totally rock that card back because it's a very good album and a very fun image, and it really tickled me when I found that in the game. So yeah, sorry for detouring, but that would be a sick card back.
I was thinking of that shirt when I was thinking of these casual variants, but it's not one that's listed specifically. I couldn't remember who could wear it. I think it's just your character.
It might just be for the hunter.
Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe you can make other people wear. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, so I was disappointed, but the card back is perfect. That's how we could have it, because I also loved that image and was really tickled when I found it. And also, Blade would feature his book club that he starts in the game, which is one of my. It's like my favorite club. Each way to the game, he really just starts it so we can get, because he wants to. Spend time with Captain Marvel because he has the hots for her.
Oh man, everything about Blade's book club is so fun and cool. And the other members are Wolverine, Captain America, and then Captain Marvel and Blade, as you mentioned. And hilarity ensues.
It's so good. Wolverine just comes and raids the refreshments table. Anyway, okay, locations. Obviously, the Abbey already exists, so that would need to be a featured location at one time. I came up with one other kind of randomly. The training ground, since you do it every day, and Marv said you always want to be training every day. So it would be a location where if at least at the end of each turn, if there are at least 2 cards in this location, give a random card +1 power. Just getting stronger, but you can't do it alone. Gotta spar.
That's great.
That is.
Yeah.
Nice theming.
So, yeah. So that was me. So yeah, I loved Midnight Suns. It's one I could go on about it forever. So that's what
we learned that you haven't played the DLC though. So you have more you could go do?
I finally got it because I got it for real cheap. I'm playing Metaphor Refantasia.
That is the thing. I think it might be deeply discounted on Steam right now. And as every once in a while whine about
I bought it and the DLC
crap
at the same time, but I'm not super far into it. Like, I think I played 10 to 20 hours before I bounced off. I don't know how long the game is, so I might be estimating wrong. But you guys are making me want to.
Yeah. Oh, geez, it could be had for $8.99, but if you want the DLC, it's $15.99 for all the DLC.
Yeah, I think I got it on a big sale.
Oh, actually,
Steam,
just kidding.
It's
$20 for all the DLC and the game.
That's very reasonable.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Or at least for me, it
was so close to the end when my PS4 crapped out. So I've never played the very end of the game, but I went. I was doing I was grinding it out and trying to get perfect, beautiful decks for all of the characters, and I love the combat system so much, and
it was so good. And it's just every time you would go to a mission, magic would summon you that portal. It's just take me, magic. Take me away. It was a great game. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. And then I'm doing the new secret homework. I'm okay, next thing.
Next week's secret homework.
Next week's secret homework. I figured we'd do a light one. It's the holidays. Second dinner is on vacation. So I figured we'd stray a little further from Snap than what we would, normally do for secret homework on the podcast. And I want to see you each tell us about your dream MCU project, right? So maybe for Lauren, maybe that's already A-Force. Sorry, I almost said Air Force. A-Force. Because, that would be amazing. And you can...
some details.
Yeah, so here's the thing. You can go as far, you can fan cast it if you want, including director, or, you can just say maybe you just want a Star Wars thing where you're I want a knowns where this will define their career forever and they'll never get away from it. Eventually they'll be at conventions when they're 50, still just only being that one character. Okay. Anyway, so as much, or if you just want to talk about the project, it'd even be a second season of a first project, really, wherever you want to take it, however far, in what ways you want to explore it. I want to hear about an MCU project that you want to see. That is the secret homework this week.
Ooh, okay.
Pretty exciting stuff.
It sounds fun. And I like the idea of a lighter week. Okay. If you, not to say I don't love this, it's just holidays have drained me. If you like what you heard, follow us, comment, subscribe, leave reviews, etc. All that information, if you're interested in it, is in the YouTube description or the podcast show notes. We're on YouTube if you're not watching this there, and we're on podcast places if you're not listening to us there. But it's the same show, so just pick whichever one you like better. We started a Discord. We have a few channels there. It's part of the Snap Judgments League Discord. But
it would be more accurate to say that we have hidden our own little Discord community.
We have a
sub-Discord of the Snap Judgments League Discord.
It's a Discord within a
It
Discord.
makes it cooler, though.
It's buried. It takes some work to get
you
there.
Can find it.
It takes a little bit of work to get there.
Do the secret knock on the red door. Okay.
The link is right there where I told you all the other stuff.
It's actually a speakeasy.
I know, I'm having way too much fun when trying
to we need to rename it to a speakeasy. That's fantastic.
Right? Yes.
Anyway, several of you have made it there, and it's been fun chatting. And it's a place where deck squares get shared, and we just chat. And you can show off your own secret homework. Pretty great.
Oh yeah, there's some good creativity afoot in there.
Anyway, the instructions are in the description. There's a link to the Discord. There's brief instructions on how to, once you're there, to get into the speakeasy. Anyway, we're part of the Snap Judgments Network. That's how we got into their Discord, where you can listen to other great shows like How Can She Snap on Sundays, Snap Decisions on Mondays and Tuesdays and special occasions, and Snap Judgments every Saturday. Don't forget, we release on Fridays. We try to, anyway.
We're damnedest.
So, catch us next week. We'll be talking about the upcoming January season cards, ranking them. That's always a intense episode. If you'd like to hear that, find out why I'm so excited about Victoria Hand. Same Snap time, same Snap channel.
Hell yeah.
Guitars!
Oh my gosh. I managed to squeeze in one as a gamer, but I didn't say react at any point. So we have to leave this part in. We gotta leave this part in for sure.
React.
Ree, would you like to
What
say
are we
react?
reacting to?
Doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah,
as
for the
gamers, we do it.
Oh,
We have to only
man.
do it hyperbolically. Oh yeah, for those who are wondering why we're obsessed with these words right now, they're the leading theory as for why episode 17 has like more than twice as many views as any of the other episodes.
Yeah, because it had a title about gamers reacting.
Much love to any of our viewers who helped that happen. Yeah, made all the other episodes look like they didn't happen or didn't happen.
We should like treat it like that. Like, why can't you be more like this episode?
Well, I just feel bad on their behalf. I mean, these were fine eps that just didn't get the shine for whatever reason. Apparently because YouTube thinks people only care about gamer reaction videos.
Look, even if it's a smaller number of people who are listening, I am thrilled that you're listening and that you're enjoying this. Because I enjoy this.
Absolutely.